I guess I can make my prayers and set my intentions. We're going to do a pick a card reading for the collective of the community today, and I'm going to upload it on YouTube. Hi, by the way, I forgot to say hi. Yeah, I don't know what theme. I felt like something lighthearted. I felt called to do something like... Okay, maybe it's not lighthearted, because I was thinking like the reason why you're single. Maybe it's kind of brutal, but I felt like it would be fun, because like if you know what's happening, then you can like have more fun, right? I guess that's the fun part. I don't know, I don't feel like really drawn to be like, who has a crush on you? I guess I could do that, but that's kind of like, I feel like that won't really help you guys, you know what I mean? And I want to help you guys. I really feel like my spirit guides want to talk about the reason why you're single. If you're single. If you're not single, probably doesn't apply to you, unless you intend to be single sometime soon. But I don't know, also, you know, if you have plans to get in a relationship, there's people who have plans who want to
break up.
Yeah, there are plans for people who do want to get out of relationships, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I thought I'd do probably 2 piles, because I like to do 2 piles. I'm very big on like duality and yin yang, and seeing the flip side of like, you know, the collective, and then help both pools of people. So yes, okay, let me okay. So today I have my dupe Rider-Waite deck that was given to me from a kind man at the Gem Expo convention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he was selling a whole bunch of authentic cards, but he had like a few boxes of like these like fake ones that he said he found out were not like real, and he didn't feel like it was in good ethics to be selling them, so he was giving it away to anybody who was interested and felt called to. And I happened to be at his table that day, and I was very interested in buying a few decks, but because he was like, I really like his, what's that word? Is it his virtues, or like his principles in life? I really respect that, and I want more people to be like that in the world. So yes, he had integrity, and I really think the world needs more integrity. Like, the world can definitely stand for more integrity. So yeah, I bought like 3 cards from him. One deck was I forget, it's French. Both of them were French. They're like French playing cards. Petit something, I could be wrong, Petit Le Mans or something like that. I haven't really used it too much, but it was good. It gave some interesting insight. So I got that, and then I have this one for free. And then he was like donating like books, like spiritual books, like he was giving them away. And I was like, oh, I'll grab some. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to be using this deck. It's a nice little travel size deck. I put in my little drawstring bag. I don't know what it says. I think maybe it's Chinese words. It's calligraphy art on this bag. But yeah. Okay, we're gonna have 2 piles. The pick a card reading theme for today is going to be the reason why you are single. And it is coming to you with the intention that you are wanting and seeking a relationship, a romantic one that is long-term, and potentially a life partner, someone of that sort. Not everyone's going to have the same views. I feel called to mention it this time. Not everyone is going to have the same views about wanting to get married. Everyone's relationship towards marriage and the system of marriage is different. So I do sense some people here might not necessarily want marriage as their end goal, but their long-term goal is definitely to have a life partner of some sort to spend their time with. So let's go with that energy, and let's find out the reason why you could be single, okay? I know it doesn't sound like a fun topic, but energetically I feel like it's fun, probably because I'm really focused on the result and the outcome that can be produced by you at the end of the reading. When you receive the messages and understand the pattern that you are creating, you can go and intentionally cultivate a new pattern and that will bring in new manifestations and life experiences that you have been seeking for a long time. And that itself feels, energetically, it feels really exciting, and I can feel that energy like literally at the end of the tunnel. Metaphorically, for you guys it will feel like at the end of the tunnel, but for me I feel like it's already here, like, because my intention is to bring it into your lives. My intention is to open that portal and have you step through it and be able to identify the threads of energies that is tying you to that outcome that you are seeking. Okay, so let's go with pile 1, please. Card for pile 1. So let's have them select between 2 piles. So what will be the card for pile 1? Spirit guides of mine. For the reason why you are single. Okay, they already chose their cards. Just like always yin and yang. Okay, card number 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Me and my counting of swords. 10 of Swords is your first card. Pile 1. Pile 1 is 10 of Swords. Pile 2 is 9 of Pentacles. Now don't be fooled. Don't think, oh, 10 of Swords looks so dreadful, I'm going to avoid it. I'm going to purposely choose a happy looking one, because you might get catfished, okay? So don't choose it with the ulterior motive that you think that choosing a happier card is going to give you a better outcome. I know sometimes that works. As an energy reader, I know sometimes that works. But I'm being told by my guide to tell you guys right now, don't be fooled, okay? So take your time to choose. I apologize if I'm out of focus. I am very unfamiliar with streaming on my phone. So I don't even know if it can like focus if I touch screen or something. Maybe not. As always, you have free will. You don't like something, you don't like what you're hearing, you always have the choice to choose otherwise, and you always have the choice to do shadow work and reflect on how you want things to be differently, especially if you don't like the outcome that's going to be mentioned here. But I'm pretty sure most of you guys will enjoy the outcome because it is what you want, right? Okay, let's go with pile 1. Let's read for pile 1. Okay, so this is very interesting. I don't know what I did, but when I start shuffling, some of the cards started showing upright when it should all be face down. So I've never had this happen before. We'll keep that in mind for what that might be, what that might mean. Oh, I know what it means. The reason why you're single, one of the few reasons, okay? The first thing that we're going to start with, the reason why you're single is because you show your hand too quickly. What does it mean to show your hand? We're going to find out more. But I have a feeling it's not necessarily like the typical like show your hand too quickly as in like, okay, it's possible that you're like letting people know you're way too into them way too soon, so it comes across as a red flag. But it could be another thing. It could be something else. It could be something else. There's something here, pile 1, for you that you're doing in excess, or you are enabling in excess, and that is the reason why it's causing you to stay single, especially if that's not your intention, okay? Oh, okay. I'm just going to stick with these for now before I go, because chances are I'm probably going to channel. So, first card that came out is the Strength card, Lovers, the Tower, Page of Swords, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of Swords, and Page of Cups. Reinforcing the whole you show your hand too quickly part. A part of the extension of that reading, of that message, is the reason why a part of how you show your hand too quickly is coming from a place of defensiveness and needing to self-preserve and protect. And so you might be setting your boundaries and your terms and your expectations a little too soon. And what it's doing is it's actually killing the mood. It's killing the mood, and the energy that's literally being fostered between you and the other person. You snuff out the dynamic, you snuff out the chemistry before it can cultivate and become any sort of potential. Because during this time, this incubation phase, it's the moment where two people consciously and subconsciously are assessing one another about whether or not they feel a pull towards you, and if there's any actual intrigue and attraction towards one another. And when you feel a little ounce of that, you pounce on it before it even has a chance to blossom into something that's much more established. So, in other words, Padawan, you cock block yourself by watering the plant with way too much water than it needs. Like, you're drowning it by, okay, I like you, so when we're gonna have kids? That's what I'm hearing. What's our 10-year plan? Oh, we should go visit Japan, Thailand, Bahamas, so forth. For those of you who have money, because this is also a little bit of a side note I'm hearing, like, for those of you who have money, you've been working really hard and you've been saving, you're really successful with where your career is right now, and you have all this money to spend, you want to spend it on someone. Even though you're loaded, you can't just dump all this money on someone just like that. It will overwhelm them, especially if they're not from the same tax bracket as you. And even if they are, especially if they're in the same tax bracket as you, if you did that, they would feel like you're probably trying to like super impress them when they don't need to be impressed that way because they have money and they're looking for something more. So try, for those of you, Padawan, who are using their money to, like, you just want to do so many things with that person, you have to reel that in for a bit and just let things between you and the other person establish more of a more substantial connection, I hear, before you start bringing in material aspects into play. Like, oh, I'll fly you out to eat some spaghetti, it's no big deal for me. Like, you want that person to have the chance to get to know you first before they get to know what you're capable of. You know, like, it also bleeds into borderlining, like, love bombing someone with impressing them with so much stuff in hopes that they would stick around, but actually you're actually scaring away your potential love prospects because of that, because you're overwhelming them. You're putting too much, too fast, too soon on the table, that they don't get to see you for who you are. They're seeing your wealth, they're seeing your success, they're seeing your capability on a material level, but you need that more dynamic, deeper connection for it to work. Unless you want people to care about your material wealth and abundance beforehand, before they care about the connection with you. If that's what you want, then you probably would be okay with being a sugar daddy or a sugar mommy. But if you're not, you're actually unintentionally doing that. That's what you're actually unintentionally attracting in. You're attracting in materialistic people who just want to fling, and it's convenient that they could have a fling with someone who can pay their bills and bring them out to all their dream hotspot destinations. You know what I mean? Like, so that's one of the messages. Let me continue. The reason why you are single, Pile 1. Some of you, for Pile 1, you're single because you've spent so much of your early years working hard and prioritizing money and a successful, like, material future, that you never really had the time to look for a relationship and date. And because of that, the flip side of that is that you don't actually have a lot of experience when it comes to relationships. You don't really have a grasp of, like, you haven't really fully developed people skills that's outside of business. Like, you're really good at negotiating. You're really good at making plans happen. You're really good at putting in the hours. Maybe, I don't know, make extra sales with some extra commission. You're really good at like bringing in clients. But when it comes to your personal life, you're a little bit like, I'm hearing like in shambles about it. And I'm staring at the tarot, the tower tarot card when I'm saying that. So some of you guys might be a little bit insecure and a little awkward when it comes to your dating life. And so you do what you're most familiar with. You kind of go about your dates and your romantic prospects from a business standpoint. I don't mean to laugh. I guess it's kind of endearing for me to hear that, because it makes sense. You do what you're most familiar with, right? We always want to present and put our best foot forward. And most times when we do that, it's what we are most confident in ourselves about. But in this regard, if you're most confident about your business and your material wealth and your material possessions, and you put that forward, that's not always the best approach when it comes to cultivating and even finding a good potential love prospect, right? Love prospect is different from business prospect, right? There's some bleedovers here, because I know business is about people, and if you do good business, you understand people. But it's not that type of transaction. It's not, that's what I'm hearing. It's not really transactional like that. When it comes to romantic relationships, it's a bit more about being unconditional, and a bit more about finding the value in soft skills. That's what I'm hearing. Find a value in soft skills, not the hard skills. The soft skills are what you guys are lacking, Pile 1. And it's also the reason why you're overlooking the soft skills. And so you kind of like, you guys don't really know how to be romantic, Pile 1. You guys are very practical, getting the job done, paying the bills. You guys, Pile 1, are not necessarily the most romantic pile. You don't necessarily exactly understand romance. You guys are very like, go from point A to Z. And it doesn't matter how you get there, you get there. But what I'm called to tell you guys is that it does matter how you go from A to Z, the quality of your travel and journey from A to Z, and how you make other people feel from A to Z matters, just like how you run your business. But instead, the results you're seeking are intrinsic ones. They're intrinsic value. It's not transactional in a material, financial sense. It's transactional, if you have to put it that way, in a very emotional, intimate connection sense. So how you maneuver from A to Z actually matters. You might want to take some like courses. Like I feel called to tell you, like, if you ever wanted to learn tango, you might want to like step up your Riz game a bit. I'm hearing like go take salsa lessons, go to tango classes, learn some dance moves, and you're gonna be dancing with some like people along the way as well. So you're gonna exposure therapy. That's what it is. You're gonna expose yourself to settings where you're gonna have to learn to become comfortable in a more intimate setting. And at first you're going to be really awkward, but at least you're just being awkward together with everyone else, and you get used to it. You become confident in the field of allowing people closer to your energy and in your bubble and your personal space, and to allow your repressed sexuality to open up a little bit and express itself. And you're going to become you need to become power, and you need to become more in tune with your sexuality a little bit, your sensuality. You need to get more in tapped with your charming, romantic, sensual aspect of yourself that you haven't tapped in or even had the chance to explore and express for quite some time now. And the moment you do that is the moment that you will start having more increase of potential of a relationship around you. So now I'm going to continue pulling more cards to expand on this, okay? You're going to meet your match. That's what I'm hearing. You're going to meet your match. But For what? And about what? And why? Okay, this is really cute and sweet. Pile 1. The moment you start going out there and you start practicing your risk game, you're going to meet someone who you're going to quickly realize you both are reflecting one another. You both are wanting to go on the dating scene again, and like you guys are practicing your riz on one another. That's really cute. You guys are practicing flirting with one another, and like because you guys are social awkward, you guys get it, and like that's what's gonna create the bonding between you guys. Okay, so what are the cards? We got Queen of Swords, the Star, Justice, King of Swords. Let's work out that message. And then we got some additional side cards. Page of Pentacles, Two of Wands, and Knight of Wands. So let's see what these cards have to say. I think the unseen factor here is the moment you start getting more in touch with your sensual aspect and intimate aspect of yourself that you've been repressing for a long time, kind of by choice, but essentially it's just out of practice and out of use because you've been so busy with other aspects of your life. It's now coming out to play, and you're going to see that, you're going to identify that quickly in the other person. And that's actually what's going to, not only is it going to be endearing, you're actually going to be like, it's going to make you feel really comfortable. And you're going to feel really seen. And I think in return, they're going to feel really seen by you as well. And that's what's going to be like a really nice icebreaker for you guys to start making that connection and start bonding. And so instead of it being a focus of, oh, let's go here, let's go there, I have the money, I'm gonna provide. Doesn't matter if you're man or woman or non-binary or whatever it is you consider yourself to be. It doesn't matter, okay? We're talking about masculine and feminine energies here. If you're the one wanting to be providing and like just, here, don't worry about it, I got it. And that's always been the main factor because maybe, you know, because that's how you think that's the best way to get into a relationship is by showing how capable of a provider you are or how independent and how like self-reliant you are. Now you have something else to focus on. You're shifting your focus into how does my sensuality look like? What do I look like as an individual when I tap into my sensuality, my sexuality? And what does it look like when I riz someone? What is my riz game style? Like, how do I like to flirt and seduce and play coy and create intimacy with another person? What does that vibe look like? And suddenly you have this newfound project and you shift your focus towards that. You're going to connect with other people regarding to that. And that itself is where the romance is, like where it lies. That's where the romance lies. Is through the fascination and intrigue between how two people's energies of their intimacy and their sensuality and their sexuality commingles together. And the only way you can know that is when you allow that part of yourself to come out. You don't really normally, at least for the average person, you don't show this side of yourself like to your coworkers and like to your employees or whatever, right? You don't. That's just harassment. It's just straight up harassment. But when it comes to dating, and it comes to meeting with other people and then getting to know them for a potential partner, it's okay for that part to come out. It's okay for you to start expressing that side of yourself. And that's the side of yourself that you're not in tune with. And once you allow that side of yourself to come out, that's the perfect opportunity. Okay, so I'm being told to tell you, because you're a very practical pile one, your equivalence of showing people how capable you are with how much money you could provide or how you could take care of them and how many destinations you could bring them to and how happy you could make them, that material like possession and wealth you have is the equivalent of your ability to tap into your sensuality and what sort of intimacy it is that you like to create and what your vibe is about and your risk game. That currency transfers over to like this, and this is the value you bring when you meet other people and enter a potential dynamic that could blossom and cultivate into a romantic one. So focus less on this, because if you're already wealthy, it's already obvious. So you don't need to show it anymore. Like don't be so insecure about needing to prove that you're willing to share it. People will know in time as they get to know you what kind of person you are. And it also gives you the chance to see if you like the other person too. So don't be so quick about entering a connection and a dynamic thinking it's about you and your performance, but rather it's a chance for you to show who you are, and the other half is for you to analyze whether or not the other person is even someone you want to be reciprocating and interacting with and spending a lot of your most intimate time with, because ultimately that's what a relationship is. If you're looking for a life partner especially, there's going to be a lot of intimacy. There's going to be a lot of patience that will be required. There's going to be a lot of spending your most precious downtime together, because there's not a lot of time in the day when you're a busy person. And you already know, Pile 1, I really do feel you know the importance of how discerning you should be with who you keep in your circle, right? Let alone relationship. It's just people you want to keep in your life. So someone who's in a relationship with you, you have to be even more mindful, because you're not just sharing space and time with one another. You're sharing your bodies. You're swapping DNAs. You're sharing your spit. You're doing so much more. You're connecting so much deeper on a spiritual level too. You're literally fusing together the more time you spend together, especially in an intimate relationship such as a romantic one. So you have to be mindful about asking yourself how much you like the other person too. It's not about how much the other person likes you, which is important because it has to be consensual and reciprocal, but it matters too what you think about the other person and whether or not they are someone you want to spend most of your time with as well. Okay, that's what your reading is for Pile 1. That was really nice. I like that a lot. Let's move on to Pile 2. Pile 2, you got Nine of Pentacles. So let's find out, Pile 2, the reason for why you are single. I'm hearing trying new things. We're going to find out what that means and why I heard that message, but trying new things is part of the message for Pile 2. I also heard righting wrongs, so trying new things and righting wrongs. Pile 2, why are you single? Oh, there is a heavy sense of regret here for something you guys did or didn't do and felt like you should have. It's a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda energies. Okay, one more card before I start channeling. Okay, the words self-abandonment just came up. Okay, so we got the Hanged Man, Judgment. I think this is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6 of Wands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 of Swords. Death. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of Wands. And I believe this is 5 of Pentacles. Okay. Keep in mind, this is with the intention of wanting to be in a relationship, a romantic one, and finding a lifelong partner, okay? We're going to break down the reasons why you may be blocked or blocking yourself. It's always mostly blocking yourself, to be honest. Let's get real here, okay? It's mostly us manifesting these for ourselves. So let's find out why we block ourselves, Pile 2. I don't know why, Pile 2, for you, I feel really like giddy and playful and like I have a hard time focusing. I'm like, ooh, like, oh, I just want to like have fun. I just want to like sit in a donut in a floaty pool and just like chill and not think too much about things. What does this have anything to do with why you're single though? You a player. You are the exact opposite of Pile 1. Pile 2. You played the wrong person and you got your heart broken because you fell for that person and you didn't think you would. you went into a lot of relationships with a non-committed, non-serious intention. We're gonna get into probably the reason why. I'm not picking up on any of that immediately right now, but pile 2, you just want to have fun. You don't want to take life too seriously. You want to make the most of it. I'm hearing the words hedonistic. You're very hedonistic that way. And you had no expectations, and neither did you expect other people to expect anything from you. But at one point, you encountered an individual that you surprisingly fell in love with. And you, for the first time, wanted something deeper. But unfortunately, that person did not feel the same way, because they were mirroring back to you the energy that you were wanting, which was just to have fun. But I also hear that that person was meant to cross your path, to induce that desire, to give you that opportunity for you to become self-aware that there's this part of yourself that was waiting to be expressed and to be discovered. So that's actually a really beautiful thing. They want me to talk about why you only wanted to have fun now, okay? Because there is, like I said earlier, self-abandonment, right? If I don't remember, literally I don't remember what I just channeled. I'm going to look back in this reading. I'm very curious what I said. But I'm hearing the word self-abandonment. So let's find out why they want me to talk about that. Some of you, I need to mention, some of you are not players. But because you have this tendency to abandon yourself, it makes it so you have an inability to form intimate relationships with those around you, because intimacy scares you. And that's where it goes into self-abandonment that we're going to explore today. Alright, I'll show you the cards. The Empress. There's 8 of Cups. 3 of Pentacles. King of Wands. The Hierophant. Queen of Cups. And 9 of Cups. So let's find out, pile 2, why you abandon yourself. You got let down way too many times in life, pal 2. I can sympathize with you. You literally have been waiting for the other shoe to drop in so many circumstances for so many people in so many different scenarios. But people just let you down continually. Like, you've been waiting to receive, but it never came. And it's not like you haven't vocalized your desires either. You have talked about it. You made it clear what you wanted. But for some reason, it's like somehow you attract, or you're around other people who, it's like they're withholding it from you, or they're incapable of providing that one thing you need, which is kind of ironic. I mean, it kind of drives you up the wall a little bit, and you wonder why. Let's find out why. This stems back to your childhood, pal 2. We're gonna get a little deep here, okay? Something happened in your childhood where a lot has been promised to you, and it set it up so that you had high expectations. It's almost like there were high desires, and strong expectations and anticipation that never got to be fulfilled or tended to. Maybe you had a parent or a guardian figure who talked more than they walked. You know the whole saying, talk the talk but walk the walk. You guys grew up with parental figures or guardians who were supposed to be taking care of you, who talked a lot of smack. They didn't mean to hurt you and to cause that wound in you, I'm hearing. What that person had was actually a lot of insecurities, and how they compensated in their mind's eye for their insecurity and their lack of whatever they think they were lacking is by exerting their voice and their communication and their ability to express. And their throat chakra is out of whack. Their throat chakra is unbalanced, and that's the strongest part of them, actually. They feel most powerful when they can voice out what they feel. And a lot of them, from a shadow perspective, exploit their own gifts of the ability to communicate by selling this really big, grandiose idea and expectation to others around them with the hopes and intentions of uplifting their own image and reputation to those around them, so that people associate them with someone who maybe is able to deliver and bring in such astounding and impressive experiences. But the setback is because this parent or guardian figure gets, because it's overactive, right? The throat chakra and their ability to communicate, is overactive. It gets out of control, and they end up over promising. Their mouth kind of runs away from them. That they just keep going and going, and they can't stop. Have you guys ever seen a person, or ever experienced it yourself, or you watch a TV show where it's like you can hear yourself talking, and you know you're saying all these outrageous things that are like, they're like white lies, and it makes you look like this really cool person, but really you know that's not really what it is, but you can't stop yourself from saying it, and you can't stop this momentum because you're seeing how people around you are reacting and being oohed and awed. That's what's happening with this parental figure or guardian figure that you've grown up and or spent a lot of time around. But you were young when this happened. You were a child, and so you did not know the difference between ego and survival, even though ironically surviving and ego goes hand in hand. But this sort of ego we're talking about is the survival of ego from an unhealthy point of view, whereas a child doesn't understand unhealthy ego. A child is dependent on whoever it is that's providing the source of survival, and they're adapting and soaking in like a sponge and learning the ways to eventually survive. So they don't know the difference between shadow ego and healthy ego. And so you, as a child, Pile 2, observed from parental figures around you and influential figures around you a really unhealthy way of survival through the overcompensation of their gifts of ability to communicate and selling such a grandiose image of some promise and never meeting those expectations, and that created a lack within you, and it made you feel like you're always disappointed. You're always like this. There's this dream that's like put on a pedestal far from you, because this is the dynamic you're used to. The Empress waiting to receive. But instead, how are you going to receive anything from someone who's turned their back on you and is walking away? You're waiting to receive from the wrong person. You're expecting from someone who can't provide. But you don't realize that. You don't recognize that blueprint within you. Because as a child, this is your blueprint of love and survival. This is familiar. This is family blueprint right here. So you don't even recognize abandonment as abandonment. You recognize abandonment as a love language and a form of survival. So in some ways, it's almost like your wires are a little twisted, and you're shooting yourself in the foot, and you're wondering why you can't figure it out. It's because you're misidentifying it, not to any fault of yours, but rather to the adult figures and those before you who had their own personal traumas that they didn't resolve, and of course naturally it got handed down to you for you to figure it out now, and that's why we're having this conversation. And so the moment you can recognize that you have been attaching yourself to people who are emotionally unavailable, and people who have a tendency to speak bigger than they actually are, and to bite off more than they can chew, that's the saying, is when you'll start being able to attract in a partner, an actual partner, and you'll no longer be single. The reason why you're single, Pile 2, is because you're giving all your time and love to people who aren't capable of reciprocating back to you. But the reason why you're doing that is because you find familiarity and love in these people, because they mirror your childhood with what you see as safe and as family and what you think is a foundational blueprint to build your life on. But in actuality, that blueprint that you were given and received as a child actually is detrimental to you. It served you at the time when it did, and you survived and you made through it when you did, but now you're in a different phase and stage of your life where you no longer need that blueprint. That blueprint, it wasn't even your choice to begin with. It was just what was available to you, for you at that time being. But now that you're older and wiser and you have discernment, you can choose between a wide array of varieties of type of blueprints you want to adapt to, that you can consciously select and be like, this is the behavior I wish to adapt. This is the type of association I want to have with what I consider a blueprint of ideal relationship and love. You can actually change. You can change your mind, pal, too. I feel like someone needs to hear this. You can choose, pal, too. Someone needs to hear this. Someone out there needs to know that you have the choice to choose how you want to live and how you want to feel about things. You can always change your mind. It's not permanent. You can always change your mind. You might want something today and you don't want it tomorrow, and that's okay. You don't need to commit to something needlessly. Maybe something was told to you in your childhood that once you committed, once you make up your mind, you have to stick to it, and if you don't stick to it, you're like a letdown, you're a failure. Maybe it's from the same parental figure who spoke more than they could fulfill, and as a consequence for them, they felt guilty about it, and they felt horrible that they couldn't keep up to their promises, and that's why they constantly reinforce to themselves and to those around them that one needs to stick and commit to what they choose and fulfill it, because that was their life lesson to learn that lifetime, or maybe this lifetime, depending who we're talking about, if it's your grandparents, or somebody who was much older when you were young and they're passed away now, or if it's someone who's still alive now. But that's beside the point. The point is, they were constantly projecting out that I can deliver more than I can speak more than I can deliver. Oh shoot, I caught myself and I realized my mouth ran away from me again. Oh, this is bad, damn it. This is why you need to commit and stick to one thing. You need to show you can dedicate and be focused, and you really can see something to the very end. That's why it's so important. They're still projecting. And then poor you as a child don't know any better. You're like, oh, okay, got it. What did you get as a kid? Okay, got it. Speak more than you can promise, and then when you don't fulfill it, feel bad about it, and then punish yourself and reinforce to yourself why you need to always stick to one thing. But the thing is, as a child, you don't have the discernment to realize, well, the other half that's important of why when you stick to one thing, you have to make sure you really, really mean it. You really care about it, and it's actually really important to you, and it's something you're really passionate about, something that really speaks to you and breathes life into you, and it gives you a higher purpose. It gives you a drive and a reason for being. That's the other half that wasn't taught to you as a kid, and so subconsciously, without thought, you just commit to something. You feel like if I have to commit, I have to commit to one thing. You don't want to be trapped, pal, too. You don't want to feel like you're going to commit to one thing, so you commit to no thing. But that's what leads to that perpetuating circle of self-abandonment. You commit to no thing, and then you go and find other partners that remind you, subconsciously, not consciously, of your parental figures and your guardians who feel safe and what you associate with love, but really they're practices of letting you down all the time. You're finding that in other people now. You're attracting in other people who have the same sort of body language and pattern and behaviors. They have a tendency to be super grandiose but cannot fulfill the promise, and it leaves you to always feel like, when is the other shoe going to drop? And that's why you're frustrated. I literally spent 23 minutes explaining that whole concept, and it was really important. Like that was a mouthful, guys. But that's why you abandon yourself. Not because you don't love yourself. A lot of people think because they abandon themselves because they don't love themselves. No. You abandon yourself because that's what you saw. You literally saw people abandon themselves and abandoning you emotionally by not fulfilling their promises and speaking way larger than life than they can ever fulfill because they can't commit to one thing. That's their lesson to learn this lifetime or previous lifetime, not yours. That's the discernment we need to have here, and we need to be aware of, pal, too. Is that's not your life lesson. Now I'm here, what is my life lesson? Okay, well, if you must know, let's find out what your life lesson is so that you can know the differentiation between that other person's life lesson was projected onto you. So what is your life lesson, and how does this tie into the reason why you're being single and how you can fix it? You got 3 of Wands. I'm going to pull 2 more cards to find out your life lesson, how to, and why you're single. Your life lesson, I'm hearing it's to question the norm. Question what you believe is the reality and truth of life. To question why things are the way they are. Part of your life lesson is to break out of this matrix of reality that has been projected onto you. And this childhood wound that we talked about is one of the many realities that have been projected onto you, pal, too. And it's totally okay for you to question it. It's totally okay for you to change your mind and suddenly not be okay with it. And to challenge it. Why? The cards that came out was 3 of Wands, Ace of Swords, King of Swords. It's not even just to question the truth of others and everything around you. The flip side of that is to find your truth. Find your own personal truth in all of this. Because that personal truth is going to set you free. Because it's going to allow you to know what it is that you actually want to stick to and commit to. And when you know what you want to stick to and commit to, and what you want to be, what really lights you up and what you're really passionate about, that is on the same vein and energy frequency of how you know if it's someone you want to spend time with. And eventually, someone you want to spend your lifetime with. You know what I mean? Because that's commitment. It's an intentional choice to want to be with that person and to share yourself with the other person, vice versa, right? Pile 2, I do get some of you guys do want to get married because we do have the Hierophant here. So pile 1 may not necessarily be, but pile 2, there is a spoken, I'm hearing about like marriage. Some form of marriage. It doesn't have to be like a traditional marriage. It could even be a spiritual marriage, like a spiritual union. But it's some form of bonding, and I'm hearing like, I'm seeing this like vine like spiraling up and tying itself together towards itself like this, like a snake, you know? That's what I'm seeing. There's advice coming in for you guys. I'm literally here, so what next? Because it's funny, I'm staring at like the 2, 4, 6. I'm staring at the 8 of Cups, and then literally I'm looking at the 9 of Cups right away. How can you go from being drawn and attracted to those who constantly just walk away from you with that energy of not being able to fulfill, to rewiring your mind and finding people who can fulfill and have integrity, like pile 1, or maybe not even pile 1, it's just the conversation today was about integrity, and have the integrity to fulfill their promises and have literally create weight in their words, right? How? Let's find out how. 5 of Cups came out as part of the answer as to why, or how you, pile 2, can go from to rewiring what you are naturally used to and drawn to. We got Page of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, 6 of Wands, 5 of Cups, Judgment, the Magician, And 5 of Wands, I think that's what I want. Yep, 5 of Wands. It's gonna take you a few tries, pal, too. You're not gonna get it off. You're not gonna get it off. Ooh. You're not gonna get it right off the bat, and that's okay. It's meant to be practice for something for you to start becoming familiar with. So you might, I feel like there'll be moments, don't be discouraged though. There might be moments where you meet people and then find out they're actually doing the same thing again, where they kind of emotionally let you down, or they're very grandiose and they speak more than, like, they look good on paper technically, but when it comes to application and literally who they say they are, they actually aren't. So you're going to learn to start identifying it, but there'll be some hiccups along the way, and that's natural. That's meant to be part of your path for you to rewire. You'll find aspects that's more someone who's able to commit, and someone who is able, more important, not just commit, able to fulfill and say what they mean and mean what they say. And get used to that, and knowing how that energy and how that sort of personality is identified. And if you're curious what that person looks like, I'm an example for you. I don't overpromise, and I don't say, and I don't do things I can't fulfill. And I do my best to hold integrity to that. So observing me could be a good example for you as well, to become familiar with the energy of people who are able to deliver their promises and not overpromise, and they do what they say and they say what they do. They do what they mean and they mean what they say. So you're going to find people who will actually fulfill you in things that they say they would do. But then there's aspects that they don't fulfill that they say they would do. You get disappointed, but that's okay. It's to help you acclimate to the new frequency and the new habit and behavior adaptation, the middle ground. Because most likely, for most people, it's impossible to just automatically switch just like that. From like, oh yeah, I'm completely attracted to people who always overcompensate and promises way more than they can actually deliver, to someone being interested in someone who's always full of integrity and can keep their promises. Because chances are, probably too, I'm going to call you out a little bit here, chances are you have a little bit of that energy in yourself as well. And for you to be able to identify and expect that from others, to literally be able to deliver what they say they would, it would mean on a deeper level that you as well also have to meet the demands of saying what you mean and mean what you say, and also have the integrity to pull through as well. It's less accountable for you when you're with someone who flakes, because then when you flake, it's not that bad, because then you're not a hypocrite. But the truth is, because of your childhood experiences, it's kind of taught and encouraged already inside of you to be this way, where it's like you're not that really committed yourself either. Not by choice, but by upbringing and observing with other people. You learn to be that way. As well as the shadow side here is the outside. You're like, oh, it really sucks, people let me down. But the shadow side is you also let yourself down, and you have let other people down as well, because you practice what they practice as well. You're mirroring the same habits as these people that disappoint you, because it's also within you. So the moment you're able to slowly adapt to expecting more of yourself and strengthening the virtues that you wish to uphold and have more of your life, you're going to be able to identify that more in other people around you as well. And you will be more comfortable to be intimate with those people, because you will know confidently within yourself that you are that way yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I would say the advice here is to start practicing not over-promising, holding your integrity, and fulfilling the promises and keeping the words that you give to others, so you know that there is weight in your words. Start with you first. Getting used to associating yourself as someone who can focus and commit, and once they set their mind on something, they see it through. It doesn't have to be anything big. You start small, with small things. and work that muscle, strengthen that muscle. Promise yourself something small and see to it. Make sure it's sought through. You see it through. When you do that, you have more trust in yourself. And when you develop more trust in yourself, you know how that feels like. You can identify in other people, and you can discern when someone trusts themselves or not. There will be moments where you're going to be frustrated, pal, too. And you're going to be like, oh, like, this is not fun. I want to have fun. I don't want to focus too hard on this. Yes, it's true. You're going to feel a little bit like that. But that's because shadow work's never comfortable. I have a feeling, pal, too, you guys have never done shadow work in this way before. Doing shadow works for things that are not as deeply close to you, like it doesn't really hit your soft spots, is easy. But shadow work, the real shadow work, happens when you're doing things that make you feel super uncomfortable. That's the whole point of shadow work, right? It's kind of like, where are you gonna go, gym? Oh, you're being called out here, pal, too. Not me. Your spirit guides are calling you out. It's like going to the gym and saying you worked out for 4 hours, but all you did for 4 hours was walked casually on the treadmill, lifted really light free weights, and used those cable machines, and didn't really necessarily do anything that really challenged you or was pushing you towards making progress, but rather you were like just kind of being like complacent, I'm hearing. But people don't know that. You know that. But you're saying it, so you make yourself more grandiose than you actually are. And that's what causes this disconnect and this gap between you and the ideal version of yourself. You feel disappointed in yourself. Other people are thinking this way about you, but really you know deep down inside you're not that way that you portray. Time to close that gap. Time to actually do what you say and say what you do. Mean what you say and say what you mean. When you do that, you close the gap. Your sense of insecurity and feeling like a fraud and imposter syndrome will dissolve, because you're genuinely integrating the ideal version of yourself with who you are, as opposed to constantly keeping it within arm's length, that you're treating the ideal version of yourself as a projection of a facade of who you want the world to see you as, versus who you truly believe yourself to be and know yourself to be. Do you know what I mean? Jelly bean? Yeah, that's the message for you, pal, too. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it was insightful. If you enjoyed this reading, give it a thumbs up and check out my next video. That was fun. That was insightful. I liked it. I learned some things from it, like from both piles. I have to go back and watch my VOD to see if like there's aspects of myself I can identify in both piles and learn from that too, you know? I like that. That was profound.